Hey guys, Colton here from the EV Kingdom, and welcome to Side What if Summer Rose was the Summer Maiden? And you're probably wondering if you're looking at the thumbnail thinking, wait a minute, that's Ruby, not Summer. Well, that has a lot of reasons behind it. The first one being I could not find a picture of Summer being the Summer Maiden, and also I thought this was cool, so I decided to keep this. Also, not mine, but credit to whoever made this. This looks really cool. I like how the silver and red and mixed together. Er, Either way, this is cool. And second, it's basically how there's a story reason why I'm having it Ruby instead of Summer. Now, if you haven't seen the four or small episodes involving Ruby after the plot of Volume 9, I wouldn't really blame you. I haven't really been caught up on all those. So, I don't fully know the story either, but I do at least know bits and pieces. And all of John's stuff in there. Either way, ain't not what matters. Point is, in the first one they already know the Summer Maiden. We don't know, but they do. The Summer Maiden's there with Winter and Raven. And so, yeah. Yeah, we do. Canonically, if I can take that as canon, have the Summer Maiden there. We don't know her identity, so if I was gonna go the route of Summer just having the powers, I'd basically be making things up after that. Well, the point where we all thought she was dead. So I decided to mess around with it a little bit and came up with this. If you don't like it, just let me know. And explain to me what you would have done differently. So I could better formulate this what if later. Or if I ever get a sequel, or if I have What If Ruby Was the Summer Maiden as a what if. So, yeah. Yeah. Also, it'd be way longer than a short because I would just say, not much really changes. And I also thought of another idea, but that will actually be a short. Or what if? I'll do that later. But for right now, let's go into the what if. It's also been a while, since I've done one of these, so yeah. Anyways, our story starts with Summer. You can say, well, she's still in the academy, or a little bit afterwards and taking care of a younger Yang, not having Ruby yet. Osmond sends her out to check on the Summer Maiden due to their academy saying she ran away. Summer finds her, or they get along, a battle happens, and the Summer Maiden dies, passing her powers to Summer. Now, Summer, knowing everything about the war, would know not to casually mention, I'm now the Summer Maiden. And due to secrecy. Similar to what Raven did, but not in the exact same level. So, in other words, no one really knows, and they just have to assume where the next Summer Maiden is. Summer would still tell them she died, so yeah, not covering that up. But years later, Ruby would be born, and she goes on that mission. Now, I'll say Summer doesn't really use her powers much. Especially knowing that if she did, she would be caught out. But maybe occasionally using them like using can't think right now. Like, and creating a gust of wind we don't really know what types of elements the maidens are capable of manipulating. But we can at least assume they can manipulate the weather a little bit. And so maybe Summer does something like that to better hide her presence. Anyways, the mission would happen, and I'm gonna say Summer dies here because you'll see why later in the short. But RWBY, he would be asleep with Yang. And you can make an argument about what I'm gonna do next. But I have a feeling RWBY would have a dream. And Summer's there, here near that same ledge, giving RWBY some words of encouragement. And then giving her final goodbyes. And without RWBY knowing that this is the last time she'll see her. And passing on the maiden powers to RWBY. She wakes up. Her eyes change color a little bit before returning to normal. Everything from the comic point happens. I'm assuming that's canon because we don't really have much canon information about before all of that. RWBY, he is still a child. Later on in life, she would find out what was really meant. And by all of that, she would cry. Her maiden powers activate by accident and due to high emotions. The realization of her mother's death would hit her hard once she truly learns about it. She remembers the dream and agrees to keep if Summer trusted her with these powers, she'll do her best with them. So she has her normal training with Yang, but afterwards, late at night, she would sneak out of the house and practice a little bit with her maiden abilities. Mostly figuring out what she can do, how long she can use them for, or testing the waters and seeing if she can incorporate any of it to her fighting style. For the most part, a lot of the volumes aren't really gonna change. RWBY's not actively using her maiden powers in public. She still doesn't even know what a maiden is. So all that would still happen, and as normal. Well, all the way up to volume 3. Kira is still picked for the fall maiden position. And due to the same reasons as in canon. And all that happens when RWBY gets up to the top of the tower, however, her silver eyes do activate. But I also think the maiden eyes flash too, so you get a silverish red hue. You'll like in the thumbnail. Again, I really like the idea. Well, the color, or they did. But Cinder would see this, and before she can even say anything, the entire explosion happens, but I think it's a lot more powerful than before. Where it only took Cinder's eye, arm, and her ability to speak for a little bit, and turning the huge dragon Grim into stone. I think Cinder's more messed up here than in canon. And due to me thinking the maiden power boost would kind I think the maiden powers gives anyone a small boost to their own abilities, like better endurance and some more energy they can rely on enhancing their semblance a little bit. And again, we really don't see much of the maiden abilities being used in other forms. So, I'm just gonna go with the whole, you gain a small boost in power when you become a maiden. So, her silver eyes would be a little bit more effective here. Here, Cinder would still be able to speak, but it would take her a lot longer to speak than it would have in canon. So by the time in Volume 5's fight it arrives, Cinder still needs Emerald to communicate for her, but she can at least fight for a small bit, which will come into play later. Because we still have one more conversation in Volume 4 to go over before that, and that's when Qrow reveals that magic exists. Yeah. That magic exists. And after explaining the story and even the maidens, 1 plus 1 comes to Ruby's mind and realizing, oh, I'm a maiden. And this is her uncle and her friends. I think at this point, after realizing, oh, I'm in deeper than I thought, she would tell at least Qrow in private a little bit afterwards that, okay, so here's the thing. I think I'm the summer, one of the maidens. I don't know which one. My mom apparently had maiden powers. I got a dream one night. And I've been able to do this since I was like 4 or so. Well, maybe a little older. I don't remember the specifics, but yeah, I believe Ruby would ramble. Well, that's why I was rambling. Anyways, Qrow, now double protective, tells Ruby to not tell anyone else for her safety and others. And yeah, they train together in secret to help Ruby get better control of her maiden powers. Now we get to the fight, and during that fight, Ruby gets there, and with her team, and the trap happens. Cinder sees Ruby, he not even paying John mind, and she's capable of fighting a little bit, but she knows she can't last long. But she fires off a few massive attacks towards Ruby. Ruby, now knowing about maidens, and due to this, she can find out she's the Fall Maiden, uses her powers as well to counterbalance them. I'm doing the whole maiden fight scene. Raven sees this and is in shock. I do believe Raven at least picked up on Summer having a new form of power. But I don't think she would fully know unless they were that close and Summer told her. Which brings me to a question. Do you guys think Summer knew Raven was the Spring Maiden? Again, we don't really know what point in time that happened. And in my entire Raven being Mother Raven and What If story, I just went with it happened a little bit before Summer's death. So yeah, we don't really know when it happened. And we also don't know if Summer knew or not. Qrow suspected something like that, but still. Well, either way, Raven is shocked, and the fight goes basically in canon, but Cinder has to put a lot more effort into getting out, and she's still not 100%. More like 80%. Impaling wise, Ruby almost goes supernova again, and with her silver eyes until Mercury, he knocks her out. I think that's his name. It's been a while since I heard his name. I do know I like him. At least in Volume 2. That much I will say. Anyways, the rest of that goes around the same. But since Cinder is a lot weaker here, she loses a lot faster to Raven. And she is in much more unstable condition. But the rest would basically play up as canon. And for a good majority of it, RWBY keeping the maiden secret between her, Qrow, her team, and Ozpin/Oscar. So I don't think they would tell Ironwood because that would be way too much information. And everything else would go around the same. RWBY would just be a lot stronger and have an easier time when Penny fully becomes human. Her and RWBY would join in the fight against Cinder. And Cinder having a lot more time to heal, yes. Yes, but still 2 against 1. And one of them had more experience in full honesty with their maiden powers. I think Cinder definitely would not be able to do much after that. And if not, die. So, either the ever after doesn't happen, or it does, but with different circumstances. And since RWBY is the Summer Maiden, and the fact that they found the other three's identity, also Penny is still alive in this, is hooray Penny. But since all of them are basically found, RWBY finds out which maiden she is, and since RWBY would be the maiden at this point, she just grabs the next relic, like on her own. And after finding out its location. So yeah, I'm ending it there because there's not much else to really discuss. Now, as I mentioned a while back, you can make an argument on Yang actually getting the maiden powers due to Raven, Summer being her mother as well and having a good connection. I just felt like RWBY would make more sense because she was the youngest, leading to Summer being more worried about her in the future than Yang, because Yang's already old enough to know better in certain circumstances. Ugh. I can't speak today. But yeah, you can make an argument for that, and I can really see it. But that's how I decided to go with this story. Again, there's gonna be a short for the other possibility I thought up of, and there was a lot I could have done with this story. Or, more accurately, not much. But I wanted to at least make this. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be making the next part to the Speedster What If shortly. Happy Easter, because I'm probably not going to make an Easter video. Because I'm A, busy today, and B, ain't gonna be doing stuff for Easter as well, so I can't really post something for that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.